You're walking the stone corridors of the Alcázar of Madrid. It's 1665. The summer air is suffocating, thick with incense, sweat, and the metallic sting of blood. From behind massive oak doors, you hear it, the tortured gasps of a woman in childbirth. But this is no ordinary birth. What's being born isn't hope. It's the slow, final gasp of a dying empire. Behind those doors lies Queen Mariana of Austria. Her body is racked with pain, laboring to deliver a child who is meant to preserve Spain's most powerful dynasty, the Habsburgs. But the boy that emerges, Charles II, is not a symbol of strength. He is the physical manifestation of over 200 years of royal inbreeding. This is not just a story of a cursed king. It's the dark tale of how power, incest, and blind faith in divine right can twist a bloodline and an empire into ruin. The Habsburgs ruled Europe for centuries. Spain, Austria, the Holy Roman Empire, all under one banner. But their obsession with keeping blood pure turned their family tree into a closed loop of cousins, uncles, nieces, and siblings. The result? Children with enormous jaws, collapsed lungs, club feet, madness, death in infancy, and finally, Charles II, the worst product of all. He was born with the Habsburg jaw so exaggerated that he couldn't chew food. He had developmental delays so severe he couldn't walk until age 4 or speak until nearly 8. He drooled constantly. He was impotent, intellectually impaired, and deeply superstitious. Told daily he was bewitched. But the truth was worse than witchcraft. Charles was not cursed. He was engineered by his own bloodline. Charles II's father died shortly after his birth. His mother, Queen Mariana, ruled in his place, but her power was fragile. Factions within the Spanish court conspired against each other, while Europe circled like vultures, waiting for the fall. Charles's court turned to exorcisms, bleedings, and miracle workers, hoping to cure the king. Priests blamed demons, doctors blamed his organs, but no one dared speak the obvious. This boy should never have been born. He was married twice, to women chosen more for politics than compatibility. Neither union produced children. Rumors swirled that he was so malformed he couldn't perform sexually at all. The dynasty's future now depended on a king who couldn't eat, think, or breed. Charles was never a ruler. He was a living relic, propped up on a throne while others waged war in his name. By his 30s, he was exhausted, sick, and tormented by paranoia. He believed enemies were casting spells on him. Every bodily function, bowel movements, erections, appetite, was treated like a matter of state. When Charles died in 1700, at age 38, he left no heir. His death triggered the War of Spanish Succession, a continent-wide conflict that killed hundreds of thousands. But more than that, it ended the Spanish Habsburg line. The dynasty that once ruled half the known world had self-destructed, not by sword or cannon, but by its own arrogance and incestuous pride. We remember Charles II as a footnote, a strange, sad king. But his story is a warning. He is the embodiment of a political class so convinced of its divinity that it ignored nature, science, and sanity. The royal portraits of him were often altered, his jaw softened, his eyes sharpened. But the truth couldn't be painted over. Charles was the ghost of a dynasty that collapsed under the weight of its own purity. Historians now study his DNA, confirming just how extreme the inbreeding was. One study shows his inbreeding coefficient was higher than if his parents had been brother and sister. And yet, he was given a crown. His life, his suffering, was not the result of bad luck. It was the result of a ruling class terrified of dilution, obsessed with control, and blind to consequence. Charles II wasn't just the last of the Spanish Habsburgs. He was a living monument to power unchecked. His deformities weren't just physical. They were political, moral, spiritual. His death ended more than a dynasty. It ended an idea. That divine right upheld by incest and isolation could last forever. It didn't. It rotted from within.